Attention passionate Washington Commanders fans. Latest news, something big is happening in the NFC East and it could change the game. We're talking about a direct impact on Washington Commanders' path to another Super Bowl run, a power shift that could leave a division rival stumbling for years. We're bringing this to you firsthand. But before that, if you're a true Washington Commanders fan, subscribe to the channel to strengthen this passion even more. Show that you're also part of this family. Let's help each other reach 1,000 subscribers. Share with YOUR, FRINDS and Washington Commanders FANS. Let's get to the news. Now guys, we all know that the NFL offseason is always full of surprises, but this upcoming period promises to be especially explosive, especially for the Washington Commanders. The buzz around the league is that the Commanders are gearing up for something big, something that could reshape their offense and maybe even give them that extra push towards a Super Bowl appearance. And what's fueling all this speculation? Well, it's a potential blockbuster trade involving a star tight end from the Atlanta Falcons, Kyle Pitts. Yes, you heard that right. Pitts, who was once considered a generational talent, might be heading to Washington. Now, I know what you're thinking. Wait, Pitts. Why would Atlanta trade such a promising player? Well, that's exactly what makes this story so intriguing, and I promise, we're going to unpack the entire situation, the context, and what it could mean for the Commanders. First, let's take a quick step back and look at the recent trajectory of the Commanders. Coming off a surprisingly solid 2024 season, where we saw the debut of Jayden Daniels under center, the team showed some real promise. Daniels, a young quarterback with immense dual-threat ability, really caught the attention of fans and analysts alike. His rookie-year performance was nothing short of impressive, throwing for over 100 yards, nearly 70% completion percentage, 29 touchdowns, and only 9 interceptions. Those are numbers that, if sustained, could elevate him into one of the league's top quarterbacks in the coming years. Not to mention his rushing ability, which added an extra dimension to the offense, with nearly 0 yards rushing and 6 touchdowns. It's clear that Daniels has the talent, the arm, the mobility, and the instincts to be a franchise quarterback. But and this is a big but, football is a team sport, and to truly contend, the Commanders need to surround him with weapons that can maximize his potential. And that's where the big question mark comes in: receiver depth. While Terry McLaurin remains one of the league's most underrated wideouts, consistently making spectacular plays, he's not a one-man show. Against top-tier defenses, especially when teams double him or bracket him, the offense stalls. We saw that in the NFC Championship game, where McLaurin was limited to just 3 catches for 51 yards. That's not enough when you're trying to sustain drives or punch into the end zone. Washington's receiving core, even with the addition of Zach Ertz, who's performed well and has been a reliable target, is somewhat lacking in that true game-changing superstar. Ertz at 34 has still been effective, but history shows us that tight ends tend to regress with age, and his future contributions might not be as consistent. Plus, he's a free agent, so there's some uncertainty about his future with the team. This brings us back to the potential acquisition of Kyle Pitts. Now, Pitts, coming out of Florida, was once heralded as the next big thing at tight end. His ability to stretch the field, create mismatches, and make contested catches was supposed to revolutionize the position. In his first 3 seasons with Atlanta, Pitts amassed nearly 500 receiving yards and 18 touchdowns, showcasing his potential as a dynamic weapon. But unfortunately, his career so far has been somewhat underwhelming when it comes to actual utilization. Despite the talent, Pitts has only managed 602 yards and 4 touchdowns this season on 70 targets. Why? Well, that's the big question. The Falcons have struggled to find the right role for him, and that's partly because of offensive scheme issues and perhaps some coaching limitations. Arthur Smith, the Falcons' head coach, has primarily used Pitts more as a blocker, which isn't what we expected from a player with such a natural receiving skill set. Raheem Morris, the former defensive coordinator turned assistant head coach, tried to involve Pitts more in the offense, but didn't quite get the best out of him. Coming out of college, Pitts was seen as a generational talent, a tight end who could redefine the position, with a skill set that included excellent speed, route running, and hands. His college stats, 492 yards and 18 touchdowns over 3 seasons, highlight just how special he was. But in the NFL, he's yet to fully realize that potential, partly due to scheme fit and coaching. So why would Washington be interested? Well, for starters, the Commanders are in a prime position to make a move. They've got the draft capital, the cap space, and a clear desire to elevate their offense. Trading for Pitts could give them that much-needed difference maker at tight end, someone who can line up in multiple positions, out wide, in the slot, or as an inline blocker, and provide that elusive matchup nightmare for defenses. Imagine a duo of McLaurin and Pitts stretching the field, with Daniels having a reliable target who can make plays after the catch and win contested balls. It would add a new dimension to Washington's attack, and with Pitt's versatility, it could free up McLaurin and the other receivers to operate in more space. Now, let's talk about the potential trade value. Atlanta, despite Pitt's frustrations, would be getting a significant return. They could target draft picks, young players, or a combination of both to address their other needs, like offensive line help or linebacker depth. The Falcons, after all, are in a bit of a rebuilding phase, and while Pitts is still young and talented, their offensive scheme hasn't been a good fit for him. Moving him could be mutually beneficial, especially if Atlanta can get some high-value assets in return. Plus, Pitt's contract situation isn't a problem. He's still on a rookie deal, which makes him a cost-effective weapon for the Commanders. On the Washington side, the benefits are clear. Adding Pitts would give Daniels a true one tight end, someone who can be a security blanket in congested situations, and a big play threat on the outside. His presence would open up the offense and make it more unpredictable. And let's not forget, Pitt's ability to line up outside or in the slot provides offensive coordinator Eric Bieniemy with more flexibility in designing plays. It's all about creating mismatches and forcing defenses to make tough choices. With a player like Pitts, Washington's offense could become much more explosive, and that's exactly what they need if they want to take the next step towards playoff contention. But of course, it's not just about the talent. The mental and emotional aspect plays a role too. Pitts, coming from a high-profile college program like Florida, has faced high expectations since entering the league. Sometimes, a change of scenery and a fresh start can unlock that potential. Washington's culture, with its strong fan base and passionate environment, might be exactly what Pitts needs to thrive. Plus, playing in the NFC East means facing tough divisional rivals twice a year, and having a weapon like Pitts could be the difference maker in those crucial games. Imagine him lining up against the Eagles or Cowboys. Defenses would have a hard time matching up with such a versatile tight end. Now, I know some fans might be worried about the cost, what they'd have to give up to get Pitts. But in today's NFL, star players, especially those with untapped potential, often come at a premium. The key is that Washington has the assets to make a compelling offer. They could include draft picks, maybe a young linebacker or a promising receiver, or even a veteran player to sweeten the deal. It's all about the strategic moves that can elevate the team without sacrificing the future. The front office's willingness to be aggressive this offseason shows they're serious about building a contender, and acquiring a player like Pitts could be the piece that completes their puzzle. And speaking of the NFC East, this division is always a battleground, full of fierce rivalries and high stakes. The Eagles, Cowboys, Giants, each team is constantly trying to outmaneuver the others. If Washington manages to land Pitts, it would send a clear message to the rest of the division. We're here to compete, and we're not backing down. It could shift the division's power dynamic, making the Commanders a team to watch in 2025 and beyond. The NFC East has always been about resilience, grit, and big plays, and Pitts fits perfectly into that narrative. His addition could turn Washington's offense into one of the most dynamic in the league, capable of scoring from anywhere on the field and keeping defenses guessing. Now, let's briefly touch on how this fits into the broader picture of the NFL offseason. As we all know, with a less-than-stellar free agent class at receiver, teams are increasingly turning to trades to fill their needs. The Commanders, who already have a solid core, are looking to elevate their offense without waiting for free agency to produce immediate results. The potential trade for Pitts is just one example of how teams are thinking outside the box, leveraging their assets to build more competitive rosters. The NFL is a league where stars can change the course of a franchise in an instant, and Washington seems poised to make a bold move this year. In the end, it all comes down to the front office's vision and willingness to take calculated risks. Pitt's talent is undeniable, and if the price is right, He could be the missing piece that propels Washington back into playoff contention and maybe even beyond. The NFC East is about to get even more interesting, and fans should keep their eyes on the story because, if it happens, it could be one of those off-season moves that define the team's future for years to come. Pause here just for a second. If you want the YouTube algorithm to keep recommending the latest Washington Commanders news to you, it's super important that you leave a like on this video. Go ahead, it's quick and it makes a big difference. Thank you. Now let us continue with the big reveal. So what's the final takeaway here? Well, the potential trade for Kyle Pitts isn't just a rumor, it's a reflection of how serious the Commanders are about competing at the highest level. They see the talent, the upside, and the fit, both on and off the field. This move, if it comes to fruition, could be the catalyst that transforms their offense into one of the most dangerous in the league. It's about creating mismatches, giving Daniels the weapons he needs, and setting the stage for a new era of success in Washington. The NFC East is always packed with drama, and this offseason might just be the beginning of a new chapter for the Commanders. All eyes will be on how this story unfolds, and I promise, I'll be right here bringing you all the latest updates, analysis, and insights. And now, Washington Commanders fans, I want to hear from you. What's your take on this? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Do you think acquiring Kyle Pitts is the right move? Or would you prefer to see the team build through the draft or other free agents? Your opinion matters so much to us and to the team. Remember, football is all about the passion, the debates, and sharing that love for your team. And don't forget, I'll be back soon with more updates, rumors, and breakdowns. So stay tuned for the latest Washington Commanders news. Thanks for hanging out with me today, and as always, let's go Commanders!